All right, so good day, students. I am not seeing where persons have actually logged in to do this particular task. So to give you a working understanding before your exit exam, which is on Friday of this week, I have decided to put this video into a reality. So let's begin. So here we have it. So today's lesson is intended to give you an exit exam preparation. And at the end of the lesson, we want to be able to hope that you be able to differentiate among three types of source documents, recognize three purposes for at least three types of documents, identify 5 strategies for finding the meaning of high vocabulary words, and express clearly at least 4 reasons for using text features. And then we're just going to do a quick review on the 7 steps that are needed or involved when we think about writing a letter of information. So at the end of all of this, I'm hoping that we will be able to go through the slide together as is here in the attachment. And then we are actually going to, I'm hoping that you'll be able to experience the Nearpod activity, which is right here. And then you are asked to do the prof quiz, which is also attached on the Google Classroom platform, but added as well into the PowerPoint. And then finally, I'm hoping that you will try to do a personal review where I can give you some feedback of actually writing the letter of information. So let's go into the Google Slides. As it's being loaded, please ensure that you watch this link before you actually do the activities attached on the Google platform. So there are the objectives. Now, when we think about types of source documents, probably need to understand first and foremost that these are the documents that are used as comprehension extracts. So these are used in the reading and writing exams as is given by the City and Guilds. So here we have a document here and it is quite colorful. It has as its topic, climate change and you. Now we're going to try to continue understanding the types of source documents. Now there are at least 3 types of source documents that you need to try to get in your minds. We have to think about a blog, an article, or a website. So the documents could be reflected as a blog, an article, or a website. And remember, please, to go to the actual Google Classroom platform where you would see for yourselves the Nearpod activity at this time. So I'm expecting that you would actually have gone into this link here now. No, it's not going to process me because I'm the one that created it. Probably it will process me. But just to give you a walking through of what is expected, once you click on the document, you are expected, that's a Nearpod lesson activity. You are going to be interfacing with a number of videos that will detail for you the difference between what's a blog, what's a website, and as well what is an article. So this is how the interface looks. So notice I've actually logged in as from your end as a student. So when you click on it, this is what it should happen. So give it a minute to load. Right. Now you're seeing my name, but once you put up your name, then you can just join the lesson. So the lesson will take you through, as I said before, 2 videos. The lesson actually is just very interactive. So it will give you a walking through of what exactly is a weblog, a website, and an article. And there are about 5 questions attached to this kind of activity that will give you some more information on this. So I hope you do go through this, because this will help you to differentiate among the 3 types of documents that we're going to focus on, that this lesson will focus on specifically. I'm going to close it now. But for you, if you were on this page, you would have just allowed the video to play and then answer the respective questions. Okay? So let me go back into the slide now. All right. So the first document that we are interfacing with here is a website. Now, a website, and we know that this is a website document because one of the clues to figuring out if you're looking at a website document is that you are seeing features that appear clickables underneath the heading. So we know that this is a document. Then we have, so you see it says get involved, background, news, sponsors, sitemap, and status. So we know that this is a website document. It has all the other features that you see. So you see heading, you see subheading, you see colorful heading, lettering, regular lettering with common letters, sentence case. And then you also will see bold with colored letters. You see pictures, you have bullets. Of course, you have, we call this sidebars, where you're asked to input some information that is there of relevance. And at the end of it, where you see Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and some other personal information down here, we call it the footer. So we know it has some of the elements of a blog, but right here we know that this is actually a blog that is on a website. So this is a website page. And if up the top here too, we probably would have had the URL that would have ended with .com. That would have just cemented everything for you. Now, what's the difference between a website document and a blog? Well, this is a blog only document, and we know because the information that is being currently on the face here is very short information. There's a picture. Again, we have some very varied bulletins. We also have links to get us into other areas and some other information there. But what is what makes a blog is the fact that we would have seen many different types of text features, and what is uploaded on the current page would be a very minimal piece of information, and you have your pictures. This would have been totally complete as a blog, if we had sidebars as we had on the website page that was inserted as a blog, and we have footer. So this one we just perfectly cemented this as a blog. But for now, we know that's a blog document that we are looking at right here. Now, an article, because we've been doing article for the couple of weeks past, and one of the things that we know that is really of importance in an article is that there are many details. It's as if you're writing an essay. It's very structured. So you would have your title, then you have your introduction that basically gives us more information on the title. Then we have our subheading and information under these subheadings. The picture is just a plus. And then of course, we end with a conclusion, right? So we know this is a regular article because of the worded information that we're seeing here and the structured presentation that is here. Now, let's see if we can go into now giving some understanding. We're going to look at how it's very important to understand the purpose of source documents. So let me play this video for you to give you a walking through of understanding the purpose of source document, which is pretty much the same thing as the author's purpose. Please watch on.
Today's lesson is about author's purpose. Our learning objective is I can identify the author's purpose for writing a text. Author's purpose is why the author wrote the text, or the reason for writing a text. We are going to use a helpful acronym so that identifying the author's purpose is as easy as PI. PI is spelled P-I-E. P is for persuade. I is for inform. And E is for entertain. P-I-E. Let's start with persuade. When the author's purpose is to persuade, it means that the author is trying to get the reader to do or believe something. Here are some examples. Commercials and advertisements try to get you to buy products. Reviews for restaurants, movies, and books persuade you to go to certain places or watch and read specific books and movies. Billboards, opinions, and books can also be examples of authors persuading you to do or believe something. Authors also write to inform. This means that the author is giving the reader information or teaching facts. Documentaries and nonfiction TV can inform viewers about a topic. Recipes or how-to books, biographies, newspapers and magazines, nonfiction books about specific topics. These are all examples in which the author's purpose is to inform. Now we are at E for entertain. This means that the author wants the reader to enjoy the story. Examples include stories, riddles and jokes, movies and TV shows, fantasy and magical stories, fiction books, mysteries, and comics. Let's review. The author's purpose is their reason for writing or creating a text. The purpose can be to persuade and get the reader to do or believe something. It can be to inform and teach about a topic, or the purpose can be to entertain the reader with a story. If you forget, just think about PI, P-I-E, persuade, inform, entertain. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I hope that that was very helpful for you. So let's do some application activities now. So in terms of application activity, we're still on the business of understanding the purpose of source documents. So let's see if we can just put some perspective into it. Remember some time ago I showed you this document here? Now, if you were to look at the detail closely, in order to appreciate the purpose of a source document, you have to read what it is about. So let me do a quick reading of it, and then we can see why it is that we're saying that the purpose of this document is the second option on your right. Huge turnout for International Coastal Cleanup Day. On Saturday, there was a massive turn up for the International Coastal Cleanup Day at 4th Rocky Beach. The Minister of Tourism and Entertainment, Dr. Wickham McNeil, said people are becoming more aware of the environment. We are not going to clean up the country in one day, but what we're doing is sending a message. Tourists come and go, but we are still here and want to live in a clean environment. And there's a caption, a picture there with the caption at the end, beach that is being cleaned up, right? Beach body volunteers clean up the beach. And then the document continues. Are you interested in being a volunteer beach bunny and helping to keep our beaches clean? Here's what you need to do. Download the application form and they give you a website, complete the form and send it back to us at Beachbody Cleanup, 55 Sheffield Way, Kingston, JA. If you are under 16, make sure a parent or guardian signs the consent form. Here are some of the benefits of being a beach buddy. You get to meet new people, it's fun, and free Beachbody t-shirt. Now, what's the purpose of this document? Well, it's definitely not giving information. All of it is not giving information to the reader about the Coastal Cleanup Day. That's just a piece of it. If we look at the document as a whole, we realize that the ultimate aim for the writer having written this document is basically to persuade readers to be involved in coastal cleanup activities. And then it could not have been to entertain readers about the joys to be experienced during coastal cleanup activities, because that was just briefly mentioned at the end. So if we want to know the purpose of a source document, we have to look at the overall picture. Why was all of this written? And for now, this particular document was pretty much written to persuade us readers to be involved in coastal cleanup activities. Now, remember I showed you this other document as well, quite wordy. Not able to read everything on this document because it is so fine, but let me try. It's document 2, that's what it is called. The heading, Global Warming and Climate Change. The Earth's climate is changing constantly, but in the past, changes have been natural and have happened very slowly. Millions of years ago, the Earth was much warmer than today. A few thousand years ago, it was much cooler, and most of the northern hemisphere was under ice. But these changes happened so slowly that during a lifetime, you will hardly notice it. The Earth is eating up. That's a new subtopic. Today, scientists are worried that over the past 100 years, the average temperature has gone up by 0.6 degrees Celsius. That might not sound hot, but during the last ice age, the average temperature was only 5 degrees Celsius less than it is today. I think it's 6.6. That's what it's saying up there. Probably I had it wrong. Most scientists agree that it is the things humans do that cause the earth to warm up much faster than it would do naturally. What is happening? That's the next subtopic. The Earth is surrounded by layers of gases that make up the atmosphere. Some of these are known as greenhouse gases. Sunlight passes through these layers of gas and warms the Earth. Some heat escapes back into outer space, but some gets trapped by the greenhouse gases, helping to keep our planets warm, known as the greenhouse effect. Now, greenhouse gases are very important. Without them, the Earth would be about 33 degrees centigrade cooler, about as cold as the moon, and too cold for life to survive. The problem is that we are making too many greenhouse gases. Less and less heat is able to escape into outer space, and so our planet is heating up. And see the picture there, um, showing very graphically how the heat is being absorbed into the earth and how it stays there instead of ricocheting out into outer space. So the final subheading now, greenhouse gases more being made. There are many different greenhouse gases, but arguably the most important one is carbon dioxide. It is not it is an invisible gas that is all around us. Animals like us breathe it out, and plants use it to make their food through photosynthesis. For thousands of years, the amount of carbon dioxide made was balanced by the amount used. But this balance has changed because of the way we have been living our lives since the Industrial Revolution. Burning fuels like coal, gas, oil, and wood creates carbon dioxide. Over the past 100 years, we have been burning more of these fuels in our power stations to make electricity. However, less is being used up because all around the world, rainforests, which soak up huge amounts of carbon dioxide, are being destroyed. Okay, so that's the document. Now, this document definitely is here informing us, the readers, about the effects of global warming and climate change. It's not persuading us at all to be involved in effective, positive changes that can minimize the effects of global warming and climate change. It doesn't say anything that we can do. We are just asked to think about this and come to our own conclusion. So that's not what it is about. Neither is it entertaining us, the readers, about the joys to be experienced when global warming and climate change are gone. We are helped to imply these. So we don't want to say that the purpose is what is being implied. We want to say the purpose is what is actually seen as we read through the document. And again, as we read through this particular document, the focus or the purpose for this document is really to inform readers about the effects of global warming and climate change. Now, here's another and final source document. Again, it is called Source Document 2. Now, this particular document, and I'll read it for you, began by saying energy saving hints and tips. One, clean out the fridge every month and make sure the door is always closed properly. Two, turn off all lights and fans when you're not in your room. Change light bulb to the energy saving variety. This will save you at least 15% on your bill. Three, only use the washing machine when you have a full load. Four, in good weather, instead of using the dryer, put wet clothes in the sun. It's free. Five, turn your appliances and TV off when not in use. Anything that has a heating element, including hair dryers and curling irons, using a lot of electricity, so use them as little as possible. Seven, unplug all phone chargers when not in use. All right, to save even more money, have you considered installing solar panels? For a free consultation and advice on solar panel installation, contact JEP Energy on 1-800-523 5686. And solar panels from JEP Energy will save you more than 60% on your energy bill and give you a reasonable payback time. So that's the document there. What's the purpose of this document? Definitely, the purpose is really to inform readers about the energy saving tips and hints. It's not really persuading us to purchase JEP energy panels. All through, that is just one little section that is doing the persuasion. Most of it really is about the tips and the hints for us to save energy as readers. No, it's not really entertaining us readers about the joys to be experienced when energy is saved. We have to imply that. So remember now, another thing, in order to appreciate the purpose of a source document, we have to ensure that majority of the information is reflected in the answer. So the answer, reinforced again, is one, informing readers about the energy saving hints and tips. Now let's look at our next idea, finding the meanings of high vocabulary words. Let's watch on.
Hello, readers. You know that feeling when you're reading and you see a word you've never seen before and you don't really know how to figure out what it means? Well, that's what we're talking about today. Strategies for figuring out new words through context. You're always going to be encountering new words. At the time of this recording, I'm 31, and I run into new and confusing words every day. I read a lot, and it's always a fun challenge to run into words like, I don't know, glabrous, or limbed, or nacreous. I know a lot about language, and even I have trouble figuring out what those words mean on their own. So it's important to rely on context, the language that surrounds the word. Let's say you're reading a text and you come across a sentence that has a word in it you don't recognize. Here's a bit from a passage about the famous chimpanzee researcher Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall arrived at Tanzania's Gombe Stream National Park in 1960. She was considered somewhat unconventional among other animal researchers. After all, she had not yet been to college. So let's pause on unconventional. What does that word mean? Well, let me give you some ideas. That's the memory aid I use to keep it straight. Ideas. It stands for inference, definition, example, antonym, synonym. IDEAS, ideas, which are all different kinds of context clues. Every word will have a different context, so you might need to vary your approach. The way this snippet is written, let's try inference first. Then I'll rewrite the sentence a few times to show you the other methods. Okay, the I in ideas, inference. We can draw conclusions from the context. If we don't know what unconventional means, we can take a look at the rest of the sentence or other nearby sentences to figure it out. Being unconventional seems to make Goodall different from other researchers. She hadn't yet been to college, which implies that the rest of them had. That doesn't give us a full answer, but it does tell us that she's different somehow. So I think that unconventional might mean different than what is normal. And because I'm making an inference about this word's meaning, I want to keep an eye out for it in other places to see if I can confirm or revise that working definition later. D, definition. Context clues like these will just give you the definition of the word in question. So a good example of that would be, she was considered somewhat unconventional among other animal researchers. She hadn't been to college yet, and this made her different and unexpected. Different and unexpected is a great definition for the word unconventional. This style of context clue occurs when the author expects a word to be unfamiliar to you and builds in a guide for you right there in the text. The E in ideas stands for example, and this is somewhere between inference and definition. If the author describes Goodall as unconventional, they'll go on to talk about something unconventional that Goodall did. She was considered somewhat unconventional among animal researchers. For one thing, she hadn't been to college yet. So this is very similar to that initial sentence, except for the transition phrase, for one thing, which is a way to set up examples. Antonym. An antonym is a word whose meaning is the opposite of another word, like how night is the opposite of day, or how love is the opposite of hate. So if there's an example in the text of what Jane Goodall was not, we can use that to figure out what she was. So let's say the passage said, Goodall was unconventional, she didn't conform, and she wasn't ordinary. There we have two antonyms and our answer. Similarly, synonym just means, right, another word with the same meaning, similar to a definition. Jane Goodall was unconventional. She was a nonconformist. She went against the grain. You can see that I had to rewrite the sentences each time to apply to each context clue strategy, which shows me that you won't find all 5 context clues every time you need to search for a word's meaning. You need to find the approach that makes the most sense in context. See what I did there? And failing that, you can always look up an unfamiliar word in a dictionary. I love to do that. I think that's great. But I also feel a sense of victory when I correctly figure out what a new word means, when I've put it together from context. And maybe if I'm still curious, I look it up later, and then I turn out to be right, and I'm all like, victory at sea! I did it! Oh, and if you were curious, glabrous means smooth and hairless, like a leaf or the skin of a frog. Nacreous means shiny and rainbow-colored, like the inside of an oyster shell. And to limn something means to draw the outline of, or to be highlighted in light. You can learn anything. David out.
Okay, good. Yes.
Hello, readers. You know that feeling when you're reading and you see a word you've never seen before?
Okay, so that's it. So let's see if we can put the information now by way of the mnemonic ideas to see if we can figure out some of these
Hello, readers.
words
You know
that
that
we have
feeling
here in our
when you're
other
reading?
slide. So here we have some words here, and they pretty much came from the slides that we had before. So we have the words coastal that came from slide 6 and 9. So if you want, you can always go back there. I just want us to go into the actual thing before we explain what is here. So let's go back to slide 6. Let me exit this and then we can go into our actual slide. So exiting the full screen. And we go into slide 6. Oh, we can stop at slide 9 just to see slide 6 and 9 just to see where the word coastal was used. And they were seeing it right there at the top. It says huge burnout for International Coastal Cleanup Day. And the next word in context, let's quickly just go through all of them before we go to that slide with the answers. Hemisphere, slide 7 or 10. So let me go to slide 10. And in slide 10, I think it was the second paragraph. Let me just go into the full screen where I can see it much better, where we see that sentence with hemisphere. Right I am. Second paragraph, first sentence says, today, scientists are worried that over the past 100 years, the average temperature, oh, do we get it right? Oh, let me find that word, hemisphere. Okay, it's the first paragraph actually. So it's the third sentence. A few thousand years ago, it was much cooler and most of the northern hemisphere was under ice. So there we have it. So I'm just going to exit from the full screen, exit from not presenting totally. Okay, and just climbing down to the next one. Centigrade, which is slide 7 or 10. I think that was the third paragraph. And arguably, that was the last one. And then we have consultation and we have um, installation. Okay, so there are the answers. Coastal, we can use beach to figure that out. Hemisphere would mean that it's on Earth. Centigrade would mean about degrees. Arguably would mean about many things. Consultation about advice, and installation would be about panels. And remember now, if you're not sure, you can always use a dictionary. Now let's look at our third video, which pretty much details for us um, why we need to use, what are text features and why we need to use them. Okay, let's play.
Welcome back, students. It's Mrs. Bethel. Today, we will learn about text features. Our learning goal for this week is I can tell what text features are and identify them in a book. Can you say text feature? Say text feature. What a mouthful. What a mouthful. A text feature is something that you will find in a book that helps the reader to understand everything that they are reading. Let's look at some text features that we might find in books that we read. The first text feature that you will see when reading a book is the title. The title is found on the cover of the book. It is usually in big letters. Do you think you can guess what the story will be about? The second text feature that you may find in a book is called the table of contents. The table of contents has both words and numbers. The words tell you what you will read about in this book. The numbers will show you what page numbers you can find the information on. The third text feature that you may find in a book is the heading. The heading tells the reader what they will be reading about in different parts of the book. In this part of the book, the heading will learn about the earth. The fourth text feature that you may find in a book is called bold print. Bold print are really dark words. Bold print helps the reader know what the important words on the page are. The fifth text feature that you may find in a book are that you may find in a book are called pictures. The sixth text feature that you may find in a book is called the caption. The sixth text feature. The caption can be found under a picture that explains what you will see in the picture above. Explains what you will see in the seventh text feature that you may find in a book that you may find are called labels. Labeled are words used to name parts of pictures. The eighth text feature that you may find in a book is called the glossary. Glossary lists meanings for words that you may not know. The last text feature that you may find in a book is called the index. Lots of specific words and page numbers is found in the back of the book. Help the reader to find information faster. Get ready for the
Okay, so that's pretty much it when we think about text feature. So let me just minimize this. I will just go back into the actual slide. We're going to just go to the next. Okay, so let's get it right. City and Guilds Way. So we have the title here in blue. We have bold and colored text features. We have the links in terms of organizational text features here. We see the links there, get involved, background news, sponsors, site map. These will be clickable with their own information. Then you have subheadings. We have about 4 of them. Then we have bullets, and there are different kinds of bullets, but this one is this circular bullet. We have the footer. That's what at the end of the page. We have the sidebar, and we have the picture that is quite cartoon-like in nature. So we think of text features. There are so many and so varied in terms of text features. Now, when it comes to bold and common letters, it can be referred to as lettering. Now, we're going to move to our next section now, which is labeling images. Now, what this simply means is that you're expected to describe what is happening in the images that you see. And sometimes it might mean that you're going to have to relate to the context of the document. So remember these images from the documents that you were looking at before? So this image, we're going to call it image 3. There we see little snippets of weather conditions. This representing storm. This probably representing a cyclone, bigger storm or hurricane. This representing probably snow. And of course, we have the sunshine. So this image then in total, if we were to label that image, we could probably have said various weather conditions on Earth, because of the big Earth here. Now, to the right, we have 2 images, one above the other, one called image 1 and the other image 2. Now, if we're to zoom in on image 1, we can see colored soil conditions. This is soil and it's colored. The second image, that's image 2, is showing extremely dry land conditions. So you just need to look at the extract, and then sometimes just looking at the caption too, that's a little information at the end of the image can give us some idea as to how we can best label the images that we see in the various documents that we have to look at. Now, you might be invited, let me invite you to go back to your Google Classroom. If you're using the slide as something to assist you from the platform, you're encouraged to really go in and go to the prof quiz that is there and enjoy the experience by trying to get 100%. Let me show you. So this is the prof quiz, and it's entitled City and Guilds Preparation, Reading and Writing. And once you start the quiz, it will take you through answering some documents that you're going to be privy to see. I'm just walking it through. This one says, what type of document is this? The second one is another document again. What type of document is this? Here's another document again. What type of document is this? The fourth question, what text feature is missing from this document? Fifth, what is the purpose of this document? And you would actually see a document there. Oh, it's coming up slowly. There it is. There it is. That's number 5. And number 6 now, you're asked, how would you label this document? So you're going to have to choose one of those. Number 7, what is the best meaning for the word in bold in the passage? Climate change adaptation is very important for people in small islands. If you were doing, you would see the information there. So the focus for this one is the word adaptation. All right. So for the last item, you're asked to tick the 3 areas that must be seen in a letter of information, but that is when we get there. All right. So let's just go there then. Let's go into trying to review the letter of information. So let's go back into the slide. Kind of slowed up a bit here. So let's wait a bit until it unfreezes. Okay, lovely. So I'm just going to go over into the next slide. I'm going to try to pull up the presentation model button again. I think I clicked it off. So let me just pull that up. Let's go over into slide 20. So let's quickly review the letter of information. So our first step in writing the letter is pretty much to write the addresses, the date, and the salutation, right? So if we were to think about the address, we have to think about the style that we want to use, because this is supposed to be a formal letter of information. So is it that we're going to use the indent style, where we have our sender's address to the top right, and the receiver's address is always on the bottom left? Or is it that we're going to use a block style, where we have the sender's address directly above the receiver's address, all in one on the left side? Whatever it is, you choose the one that you prefer. Now, after you would have had your addresses, the address, the date, the sender's address, the date, and the receiver's address, then the next thing now is to choose an appropriate beginning. Now, there are various ways to begin. You could say, I'm writing to let you know, I'm writing to inform you about, I'm writing in response to, I'm writing with regard to, I'm writing in connection with, I'm writing to reply to, I'm writing in reference to. So you can just choose the one that works for you. But for the sake of today's lesson, the reason for which we're writing is because we have been instructed to write a letter to your social studies teacher, and you're gonna that is assigned to your school, about climate change. And remember the scenario, which would become a part of the whole letter. No, you are the monitor of your form class. Write a letter to your social studies teacher at your school about climate change. And even though you're asked to think about this, these things that you're thinking about would have to be a part of the body of your letter. So you're going to think about what is meant by the term climate change, what are some of the causes of climate change, how people have been affected by climate change, and ways youths can plan to address this issue. And you have been suggested to write 200 to 300 words. So this is how it would look, separating apart of the fact that we would have had our addresses above. So when we think about the salutation from the introduction to the end, this is how it would appear. So we have written our addresses already. So the next step now is our salutation, dear sir / madam. Or if you know quite clearly who your social studies teacher is, which is what's supposed to be in most cases, you're going to say Miss so-and-so, right? Or Mr. So-and-so. And you put your comma. And then you put, I'm writing to, and you remember, choose one of those beginnings that you were instructed over there. And then you'd have to add the reason for writing, right? To express information about climate change. And then you're going to go into your first developing paragraph now where you tell us what is climate change. So you start by saying, first of all, climate change is, and you express that. And then the next now you say some of the causes of climate change. That will be the third paragraph or second developing paragraph. By the time you get to the fourth developing paragraph, you indicate many people have been affected by climate change, and you express how so, giving examples. And then you get into the point where you're wrapping up now. So you're concluding now, you're writing your conclusion for the body paragraph. So you write, thankfully, youth can do many things to help decrease climate change. And so you put the different things that the youths can do in that situation there. Now, by the time you get to the end now, so to type the whole letter, your conclusion for the whole letter, you can choose from one of those conclusions there. I hope that this information will be of some assistance, or you can say, I hope or trust that I have been able to answer all your questions, or you could say, I would be pleased or happy to provide you with additional information, or you can say, I'm looking forward to your reply, and I hope you do so soon. Or you can add something else that adds flavor to it. Once you finish, then you move to the next step, which is your closure and signature. Now, you are expected to put your closure and your signature. So your closure can be traditional and it can be quite near what is happening now. You could start by saying yours respectfully, yours faithfully, regards, warmest regards, sincerely, yours truly, best regards. And there are many others, but these are a few of them. Remember, if those are two phrases, you have to start with capital letter, but the next one will be common letter. And then remember, when you're writing your signature, it must be a full name, first name, last name, and you're going to indicate the title, and your current title, of course, would be a student, and then it would be preferred if you put your class. So look at the sample over on the right side. I'm looking forward to your reply, and I would appreciate if you could inform me as soon as possible. Yours faithfully, Maurice Kaplan, student 9P. All right, so that would be pretty much how you top off the letter. So remember now, you are asked as the monitor of your class to write a letter to your social studies teacher at your school about climate change. And you're asked to think about what is meant by the term climate change, some of the causes of climate change, how people have been affected by climate change, and ways youth can plan to address this issue. The suggestion is that you write 200 to 300 words. And right there, this is the Google form that you're expected to fill in order to make that application. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's pretty much it. So just in case we would have missed anything, just going to just walk you back through the crux of the slide. So what have we done so far? I think we have done just about everything that we set out to do. Just going backwards to get forward. All right. So from the initial stage, we had set out to differentiate among three types of source documents. We want to recognize the three purposes of at least three types of source documents. We want to identify 5 strategies for finding the meaning of vocabulary words. Remember, ideas, inference, definition, explanation, antonym, synonym. So you can use those. And remember, you have to use it according to the situation. So everything can't apply, right? And we want to figure out what are 4 reasons for using text features. Well, features are used differently depending on what they are. Most of the times it's either to add color or for emphasis or for organizational purposes. So you have to figure out why did they use so and so. All right. And there are 10 clear steps that are involved when we think about writing a letter of information. So there you have it. Blog, article, website. Remember to click on the nearpod activity in order to enjoy that particular experience and walk back through the website, what makes the website different. Most importantly, it should have a URL saying .com, or there should be links there to get us clickable. Blogs now would be very short in terms of notation, and we'll have at the end of it, sometimes we have sidebars, footers, and we also have images, right? Articles, very organized. It must be an introduction, body, and conclusion. That's the difference. I remember that video. You would have just been sure that you watched again. And then we think about understanding the purpose of a source document. Remember now you have to read, but the most important purpose is either to persuade, inform, or entertain. You can add too that some of them criticize. Now this is when they're actually, well, it could be mocking, or it could be that they're trying pretty much to help persons, constructive criticism. So it could be a positive feedback or negative feedback on the topic, right? We just spoke about ideas a while ago, so remember to watch the video again for self. And sometimes we don't know the meaning of the word, check out a dictionary. That pretty much said it. But outside of having a dictionary, thank God you can use a dictionary for the exam that you'll be sitting in August for City and Guilds. You are expected to do the same thing when it comes to the regular exam here. It's online, so you can do that. But make sure what you're finding can work well in the context of what is there. And we just spoke about text features, so that pretty much ties up that. So remember some of the popular text features there. Another text feature could be map, because you have maps. Maps are text features because they have a part of to do with organization. Diagrams too, tables, all right? So the detailed information there for you. Anything that is giving the whole picture of the information presented is a text feature. It could be an organizational, could be used for emphasis, it could be used for in terms of presentation. All right. Remember, when we're labeling, we have to think about the context of the material that we are focusing on. So if the material itself speaks to climate change, you want to say exactly what the picture, the image is saying, and then give our description accordingly. That's how we go about labeling an image. Remember, please, to go back to the Google Classroom platform and do the prof quiz. Try to get 100%. So if you didn't do it and get 10, you can always redo it to 100% to work out to your benefit and advantage. And that's pretty much it. As we walk through, I wish you do all the best for your exam. Now, this is Mrs. Garrick. I am out.